Once upon a time, there was a man who worked as a fisherman. That's what he did, all day, every day. He took out his rowboat, and he sat and he fished. That was his job. He lived in a house not far from the water, but his house was like a pigsty. It was broken down, and he lived there with his wife. He worked every day fishing. One day, while he was fishing in his boat, and the water was very calm, he sat and waited to catch something. All of a sudden, he caught a big fish. He tried to reel it in, and he cranked his pole. And finally, after a great deal of effort, the fish came out of the water. The fisherman grabbed it, pulled it into the boat, held the fish, and took the hook out of its mouth. The fisherman could see the gills moving as he looked at the fish, and the fish began to talk. The fisherman was shocked. The fish said, "I'm really a prince, but a witch put a magic spell on me. Please, you don't want to eat me? Please, throw me back in the water." The fisherman was stunned. He looked at the fish and said, "You can talk?" "Yes, please throw me back." So the fisherman threw him back in the water. The fisherman rolled quickly as he could back home, and when he got home, he walked with his pole to the house. His fishwife stood there and said, "Did you catch anything?" The fisherman said, "I did catch a fish, but the fish could talk. It was so strange, I threw it back." His wife said, "What? The fish could talk?" The fisherman said, "Yeah, he told me he was a prince and a witch put a magic spell on him and turned him into a fish." And the wife said, "What's the matter with you? Why didn't you ask the magic fish to give us a better house? Maybe the fish could put a magic spell on our pigsty and make a nicer house." And the fisherman said, "Well," the wife said, "Get back there." So the fisherman put his pole down and he walked back to the ocean. He stood near the rock. The water had now changed. When it was once calm, it was now green and yellow, and the waves rocked the shore. The fisherman looked in the water and yelled, "Hey, fish, fish! My wife ordered me to come back." The fish popped out of the water. The fisherman said, "My wife ordered me to come back here and tell you she wants the pigsty into a nicer house." The fish said, "Okay, go home. I've already taken care of that." And the fish was gone. When he got home, he saw that he had no longer a broken shack. He had a beautiful house. The wife said, "See, I told you." In the house were 2 beds. The kitchen had plenty of food, fancy utensils and appliances, and outside there was a backyard with plenty of plants and food and an animal shed with sheep. It was wonderful. What a nice change from the pigsty. The fisherman and his wife lived there for about a week, when the wife said, "I'm not satisfied. I want a big house. I want a castle with huge towers and a drawbridge. That's what I want." And the husband said, "Well, this is fine, accept what we have." And the wife said, "Get back there and go to that fish." So the husband went back to the same rock, and the water had changed. Now it was purple and blue, and quite murky. The fisherman yelled, "Hey, fish, fish! The wife told me to come back here even though it's against my will." Again, the fish popped out of the water, and the fisherman explained, "My wife wants a big house." The fish said, "I know, it's done." And the fisherman thought, wow, that's fast. He got home. And saw a huge castle with a drawbridge, and the wife standing in front. "See?" The fisherman walked in and saw a beautiful castle with shiny marble floors and fancy curtains. He saw servants just waiting to help and serve him. The fisherman thought, wow, this is wonderful. What a beautiful, wonderful house. He was truly satisfied. He looked about and couldn't believe how beautiful it was. When it was time for dinner, the fisherman and his wife sat at a long table, one on each end. The servant came and brought the food, and the wife didn't cook anything. The husband ate, and as he looked at his wife, he could see that she was thinking. "What are you thinking about, dear?" She said, "I want to be a king." The husband said, "Come on, this is wonderful what we have." "I want to be king," she said. "Don't you want to be king?" The husband said, "No, I don't want to be king." The wife said, "I want to be king." So the husband said, "Okay, you be the king." The wife banged on the table while her husband was trying to eat and said, "You get back there and tell the fish I want to be king. Get back there." So the fisherman got up and went back to the rock. He looked out at the water and saw that the water was now gray and dark and rougher than it was before. He looked and yelled to the fish, "Fish, fish! My wife ordered me to come back even though it was against my will." The fish popped his head out of the water, and the fisherman said, "Now my wife wants to be king." The fish said, "So it is done. Go back home. I've done that." And when he got home, the fisherman saw knights on their horses and the trumpeters with their crowns. He walked into the house and saw a line of people, and his wife sat in the middle on a large throne with a very fancy crown. The fisherman looked at his wife, who had become king. His wife had said, "I want more. This is not enough. Now I want to rule all of the land, not just this small little area. I want to rule all of the land." The fisherman said, "Come, you are king. That is enough." The wife said, "It is not enough. I want more. Get back to the fish." The fisherman walked back, but now he saw the water was even worse. It was black and rough, and the waves crashed and swelled. And the fisherman yelled, "Fish, fish! My wife ordered me to come back even though it was against my will." The fish popped out of the water, and the fisherman said, "Now my wife wants to rule the whole land." And the fish said, "I took care of it." And he was gone in the water. As the fisherman walked home, he saw more horses with knights on them, and more people. He walked in and saw a whole set of different servants, tall ones, short ones, and even shorter ones, lined up in a row. And he saw his wife sitting on a bigger, even bigger throne, and on her head she had a bigger crown. The crown was lined with diamonds, and it was gold, and it sparkled and glittered as she sat on the throne. The fisherman looked at his wife and saw all of his wife's assistants discussing the orders of the day, and he thought, "Well, now my wife has everything. She is ruler of the land." The fisherman asked, "Are you satisfied now?" The wife replied, "Well, it's all right for now." The fisherman went to bed, and the next morning his wife woke him up, and he looked with bleary eyes, and his wife said, "I'm not satisfied." The fisherman asked, "Well, now what do you want?" And the wife answered, "Now I want to be the Pope." The fisherman said, "You cannot. There is only one Pope, and he's already been appointed. No one can change the Pope." The wife said, "You go back there and see the fish." And the fisherman got up from bed, got ready, and walked to see that the water was even more rough. The waves were even higher, and there were black clouds in the sky. It was very windy, and the sea was very, very rough. The fisherman went to the water, and his hair was blowing in the breeze, and he yelled, "Fish, fish! My wife ordered me to come back even though it was against my will." Through the waves and the rain and the wind, the fisherman could barely see the fish, but yelled, "My wife wants to be the Pope!" And the fish said, "It is done," and he disappeared into the water. As the fisherman walked home, he saw a huge church with a big cross, and it was incredibly fancy. He saw priests of all kinds lined up, kings too, everyone there to show their respect for the Pope. His wife sat on a big throne with her papal ring, and people came up to kiss the ring. she was the Pope. It was incredible. There, in her white castle, with white and gold and silver everywhere, people laid money at her feet. People gave her gifts, bestowed everything upon her. And she sat there, thirsting for more. She wanted more. Her husband looked at her in disbelief, and the wife said, "Now I want to control the heavens." And the fisherman replied, "You want to control the heavens? Like God?" "Yes, that's what I want." "But you can't," he said. "Do it," she said. The fisherman went back to the sea to find it even more rough. As he walked back, he could see the waves banging against the rocks, and it was thundering and lightning and pouring rain. As he reached the water, he yelled, "Fish, fish! My wife has ordered me to come back, even though it was against my will. She wants to be God." And the fish said, "Go back home. It is done." As the fisherman walked back to his house, he saw that it had returned to the original pigsty. Now, his wife was equal to God. That is what you wanted. You are now equal to God. And that is the true story of what happened a long time ago. That same pigsty is still standing near the water, and the fisherman is there, fishing every day.